Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Pop Culture History Podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today, pro wrestler, LFC prospect, one of my dear friends, the one and only RJ herself, Miss Rylee Jade. How are you, Rylee?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to be doing this with you because, folks, for those who have checked out my Pop Culture History Podcast, go back to SoundCloud, check out all those. Check out the latest one I did with Shay BSB, talking all things Backstreet Boys. So here's what we're going to be talking about today because I found this out, and I'm glad I found this out because I've done shows on this group as well. Miss Rylee Jade here is a big NSYNC fan, so we're going to be talking some NSYNC today. We're going to be talking some NSYNC today.
Oh, definitely. I would love to.
Now, here's the thing with me, like talking to you, Rylee, talking about NSYNC, the boy band era of the late 90s. We had NSYNC, we had the Backstreet Boys, we had 98 Degrees. Hell, we even had some 15 Minutes of Fame in there. Like we had some Motowns, we had some Soul Decision, we had some LFO, we had the whole nine up in here.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. I remember this was when I was still in high school. It was when NSYNC and Backstreet Boys were really, really hot. For whatever reason, I didn't develop a liking for Backstreet Boys, and it's always been NSYNC for me. I've loved them since I was little. I had posters of them all around my room. It was crazy. I tried to get, I think, stickers.
Nice.
I think you mentioned stickers before, but whatever merch they had out at the time that I could afford as a teenager, I got.
Hey, well, I'll be honest with you. As you can see here, I got the BSB rocking here because of my boy band aficionado here. I love it because of the fact, like, when I was a kid, like, stickers, you mentioned it perfectly. So, growing up on Long Island, New York, we had those. Pathmark was a very popular grocery store chain here. And you would go in, you would go out of the cash, you would have the checkout, and right in front of the checkout, there was like stickers. They had like Britney Spears stickers, Backstreet Boys, and NSYNC. You put the quarter in, boom, you get the NSYNC stickers, the whole nine. Like that was my early thing. Or you go down a little aisle and there's trading cards. There's so much stuff you can get in your local grocery store, folks. And for me, like the first time I think I remember hearing NSYNC, of course, was tearing up my heart. And I'm like, all right, this
Oh,
this sounds good. You know what I'm saying? I like it. The video is extra popular with them doing the choreography. Justin Timberlake singing on the bed with his little white t-shirt there. You know what I'm saying? And everybody with the choreography is just very good. So my first listening of them was tearing up my heart, of course. And then, that just was such a big song, a very iconic song. Like it still holds up to this day. And I think it's over like 20 plus years old now, which is crazy to think about, right?
definitely. My God, I can't believe it's been that long. You said 22 years, right?
Yeah, well, even over that, like 25, because 97, 98, that's when the first album came out.
That's crazy to me. When do you remember when Spice Girls came out?
Okay, so this is like Euro pop here. Now we're gonna take it back to the Spice Girls. I like your style. So I remember, so I was young with this. So I'm a 90s baby, 92. So I was like 4 or 5 when the Spice Girls came out. So I'd probably say around the same time because they had Wannabe, they had Spice Up Your Life, they had Two Become One. And we've
Mhm.
talked about this on here. For those, I love the Spice Girls, but for those who have not seen Spice World, that's a good thing because that movie was terrible. But that's what I that's what I remember about the Spice Girls. Have you ever seen Spice World? It's horrible. You don't want to see the movie.
I I think so. I think I was only able to see bits and pieces of it. I At the time, I think I was too young. I wasn't allowed to watch it or something along those lines, and I never got around to watching it.
It's a musical. They're singing, and Richard E. Grant plays their manager. I think Elton John makes a cameo in the movie, so there's a lot of UK based acts in it, but it's fun for what it is, but it's kind of cheesy at the same time. I mean, there's been worse. I mean, 2002 we had From Justin to Kelly with Justin Guarini and Kelly Clarkson after their American Idol win, so there's been worse.
Oh man, that's crazy. I just remember, um, I came to Canada at a very young age, and when I came here, I didn't speak a word of English. So when the Spice Girls came out, I had a very hard time, um, like understanding them. Like their songs, like it was catchy and stuff, but I didn't understand what they were talking about. But then I think after the Spice Girls was when NSYNC came about, right? It was after.
Right, because 96, 97, everybody talks about the Backstreet Boys, how like they're really like their first hit was We've Got It Going On for Years. Ah, hey. And that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like we're in the music video, they're playing basketball and they're dancing and just like there's a night, it's like a like wooded area where they're all dancing and they're matching black and blue jackets kind of deal. So yeah, and the Spice Girls had Wannabe, like we mentioned, to become one, spice up your life. So everything kind of intertwined with one another from the Europop and the pop scene. And NSYNC, like you mentioned, was also very big in Canada. They performed in Canada. They performed all over the international scene. I think for me, like NSYNC, that first album, because you're correct, everything kind of intertwined. But for me, the Tearing Up My Heart's the I Want You Back, that music video where they're playing basketball and then they're dancing the choreography. I think stuff like that really kind of really took over. And I mean, for me, a lot of people say what they will. They get a lot of flack. And I'll mention this to you. I know we're all over the place, but I got to point this out because I saw this on TikTok. And here's what's interesting about it. There's an old video of the NSYNC performance at Shea Stadium 2000 singing the national anthem. This was when the Yankees and the Mets, when Mike Piazza was on the Mets and Derek Jeter was on the Yankees, and they got booed before they even sang the national anthem. They got booed. Now, the funny intricacy and subtlety here is Joey Fatone, who's from Brooklyn, son Brooklyn, came out and he knew what he was going to get because he's a fellow New Yorker. So he was laughing. They sing the national anthem amazingly. It's a great a cappella, and then they cheer at the end of it. So they go from being booed to cheer in one fell swoop at Shea Stadium, which is amazing to think about.
Wow, that's crazy. My God.
Right? It is, but you also have to look at it from a stance too as well. And I'll say this from the male point of view, and I think you can agree with me. If you were a fan, and you could even kind of equate this to today's generation, if you're a fan of boy bands, that's not cool. What are you doing? Or they'll question, and I'll hate to say this and put it like this, but it's unfortunately it's a false reality, and just a horrible, really description of it. But a lot of people would think you are homosexual if you're a guy and you like boy bands, which is not true because if you look at it from a stance as everything, music is music, art is art. We all have different differentiates of what we like and our uniqueness. So let just appreciate the music and the art form and don't worry about crap like that. I think that unfortunately goes in today's day and age because singing songs about that's very poppy and catchy. It's not cool to the rock genres and all that crap. So there's always that stigma that goes with it that unfortunately still kind of exists today.
I think it's unfortunate. I
Yes.
mean, just because you're a guy doesn't mean you
Right.
can't like boy bands. It's the same thing as liking girl bands, like people don't think anything of it.
It's
I mean,
interesting. It is, and that's the funny part. And I'll equate it to Canada here because let me tell you something about Soul Decision, folks. When that song came out, Faded, and then we had Ooh, It's Kind of Crazy. Soul Decision was my shit, and I'll put it bluntly as that because I remember like getting that album from. We had the Wiz here on in the States here, which is a very popular music CD chain, which is now closed over there on Long Island. I used to go there. My mom bought me that CD. I remember
oh
coming.
wow.
Yep, and I remember coming home listening to No One Does It Better, that whole entire CD, which if you've not heard it, folks, it's one of Soul Session's best doggone CDs. So many hits from No One Does It Better, Ooh, It's Kind of Crazy, Faded, Will Be Here All Day, hello. But that's just the amazing time period that we had, the catchiness and everything of that. And all right, we'll talk about this, Miss NSYNC. You had the posters all on the wall. You had Joey Fat One, as some people would call him, instead of Fatone, they would call him Fat One. Hey, Lolo. Lance Bass, JC Chazet, Justin Timberlake, Chris Kirkpatrick. You could get your ass kicked, to quote Eminem, without me. Talk about having all these on your walls. Like, what was it like from their albums or just photos? What'd you do, man?
Well, they were posters from magazines that you can buy in like Safeway or any grocery stores, really.
Okay.
Um, oh, man, wait, who was your favorite
Okay.
out of the five? I
See,
have to know first.
okay, you're gonna put me on the spot here.
Yes.
I leaned more towards Backstreet and NSYNC, but if I had to pick, oh man, like Backstreet Boys was my first inclination to boy bands, so I would always rep the Backstreet Boys. But NSYNC, it's a tie for me because I like 98 Degrees, and trust me, I love me some 98 Degrees. But it was always Backstreet and Sync because they were both on Jive Records with Lou Pearlman. You know what I'm saying? So they were kind of intertwined and tied at the hip, so to speak. And then 98 Degrees is over here, just like, yeah, we're gonna do our own thing. You know what I'm saying? I do cherish you because of you. Hello, what's the hardest thing? What's up? But that was the always the thing for me. I always stuck with Backstreet and NSYNC. As much as I like 98 Degrees, Backstreet and NSYNC always ranked for me. If I had to pick, it was a tie. So I can't really choose on that one. I'll put it as a tie. I'll put it like here. I'll put it right here. Unity, baby.
Okay, fine. But what about the person? Who is your favorite human from the NSYNC group?
Oh man, I gotta go JT on this one, man, because funny.
Really?
You know why I'm gonna say this? Just because Justin Timberlake had that range. I know a lot of people say JC Chazet, which ranks up there for me too, with his Caesar haircut back in the day. But my my thing with Justin Timberlake was everybody doesn't buy CDs anymore, right? So everything is streaming and what have you. We've evolved from the technological standpoint because also I'm also biased because the last CD I ever purchased was in Best Buy, and the one because I loved it so much, I got the 2020 Experience Part 2 of 2 with Justin Timberlake. So I'm very, very
Oh,
little
wow.
biased to Justin Timberlake.
Okay, okay, that's
How about you?
fair. My favorite has always been Lance Bass. Even before he came out, I was like, oh my God, he's so good looking. Um, I know he wasn't like a primary singer, so to speak, but God, he looked so good. And the day when he kind of came out, I was heartbroken.
Well, all right, I'll add on to that because I was always envious of Lance Bass, and I'll tell you why. Because that son of a gun got to date Danielle Fishel, aka Topanga on Boy Meets World, for a little bit, and Danielle Fishel still looks fine as wine. And it's funny they actually because Danielle Fishel has a podcast now called Pod Meets World. It's her, Ryder Strong, who played Sean Hunter, and Will Friedle, who played Eric Matthews on the show, and they actually had Lance Bass on the show to talk about Danielle and Lance dating at the time, going to prom, and just meeting up at MTV and stuff. So Lance Bass has his own podcast now called Frosted Tips. Like he does, it's called Frosted Tips with Lance Bass. And here's what I always liked about Lance, like you mentioned, very like we talk about, all the boy bands, a very good looking side of the things from that standpoint. But also, dude was very cool. He's very genuine, and he wanted to go into space at the time, I remember. But he was always came off to me as very genuine and very down to earth. So I can respect that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like JT and JC, they were both, like the main characters in the boy band, and they did most of the singing, but I don't know. I never really got into them. And even when Justin Timberlake was dating Britney Spears at some point, and everyone was crazy about that couple, it just didn't do anything for me. I couldn't get behind Justin Timberlake for whatever reason. It was very weird.
Well, the thing is, too, I think it's the obvious choice to go for JT and JC, but there's so many underrated things. Like Chris Kirkpatrick, for God's sake, like he also could hit that range and hit his hair, the crazy hair that he used to have, like the friggin' just out there hair, whatnot. But
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like with Chris Kirkpatrick, like I remember him as Chip Skylark on the Fairly Odd Parents, the iconic Icky Vicky, if you will, from the Nickelodeon days. And then he did Mission Man Band. I don't know if you remember this. So Mission Man Band was a VH1 show where it was Chris Kirkpatrick of NSYNC, Jeff Timmons of 98 Degrees, Rich Cronin, God rest his soul, of LFO, and Brian Abrams of Color Me Bad. Yes, that Color Me Bad. I want to sex you up to the heart tick-tock. You don't stop. So 2007, they put the four of them together to form a Mission Man Band. But Chris Kirkpatrick is very much one of the unsung heroes of NSYNC for his range. Same with Joey, same with Lance. I think all of them brought their uniqueness to it. And I will never also with Lance Bass and Joey Fatone to add to your point with Lance Bass. Have you ever seen the one in movie that they did, Lance Bass and Joey Fatone, On the Line from 2000?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Of course. Of course I did.
So for those that don't remember On the Line, and a lot of people say it was crappy and they gave it crap, but it's not a bad movie. So Lance Bass falls in love with this girl who's played by Emmanuelle Chriqui, who was in Snow Day, and she was in You Don't Mess with the Zohan with Adam Sandler. So they're on the train and they're talking, and he never got her name and her phone number. So this man goes on billboards and he's trying to find this girl because he talked to her, and just that conversation, just like, oh my God, I gotta find this girl. We got a date, yada yada. He's like infatuated with her, and Joey Fatone plays the best friend, and he's like a musician, and like they're all trying to help him find this girl. And then, spoiler alert, at the end, 22 years later, I know I'm spoiling it, he finds the girl, they meet up, they kiss, happy ending. So that was the purpose of On the Line.
I can't believe you remember that movie. My God, this is like bringing back all these memories for me. Like I didn't even remember On the Line until you brought it up just now. But yeah, I've watched it like I don't know 5 or 6 times or something. I love Lance. It was a crappy movie. Like I didn't think it was good. I didn't think the acting was good, but I like Lance, so it didn't matter to me if it
Hey,
was good or not.
Justin Timberlake makes a guest appearance at the end of that movie, and Chris Kirkpatrick as the makeup boy is like, "We're gonna make you so good, Lance. I loved you when I saw you on the L. Who wrote this?" Like they had like a little funny ending after the movie. It was pretty funny. We're behind the scenes of On the Line, and they had Justin Timberlake and Chris Kirkpatrick playing the makeup guys, doing up Lance Bass and Joey Fatone, the castmates. It was pretty funny.
I didn't remember that last part.
Oh, they're in it. You got to see it. It's hilarious. You have to. If I can find the actual ending after that, oh, it's hilarious. I know Al Green was in it. The guy, Al Green. Let's
Oh,
stay
yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Oh, see,
Oh,
2001, folks. And do you remember they had a song from the movie? It was called "On the Line." I don't know if you remember the song, but it was not
oh,
bad.
I do. I do now.
For RJ remembers. Okay, so yeah, there was a song and there was a music video called "On the Line." It was in sync and all these. I forgot the other groups that were in it, but it was not bad. It was had a nice little flow to it, nice little tone.
Very cheesy, but
It was good.
it was cute.
It was absolutely. I remember the first time I actually saw On the Line when I was going to the store. Here's what's funny about it. Like years after like it came out, I was just walking in like a CVS or something. And then here's VHS. It's in like the cheap section for like $5. Here's the
Cheers.
it was a cheap section, like the bargain deals, man. $5 for On the Line, and there's the VHS tape of it. Back when we had VHS tapes, folks. So yes, I mean stuff like that just makes you bring a smile to your face. It was cheesy, but it was not bad. Back in the days when they had it at Blockbuster and you can rent a video. Hello.
Oh my God, Blockbuster.
I know,
Jesus.
right? Or Hollywood Video was a very popular one. My goodness.
I think I feel really old now. When you bring back all these things, I'm like, oh my God, how old was I then? Like
Hey,
15, 14, 12? I don't know. It was a long time ago.
I feel you too. I feel that same way. I just turned 31 and I was like 5 to 7. I was like kindergarten age, first, second grade. Like, I'll tell you a funny story. Like, the 99 VMAs is probably one of my favorite MTV Video Music Awards, and NSYNC and Britney Spears had a nice little mashup. So, for those that remember the performance, it's the classroom base because Hit Me Baby One More Time has that classroom in the music video. So, they're all sitting at the desks. Brittany comes out, performs Baby One More Time, and then like the principal grabs her by the ear and they go off. It's very much fitting to what the video was. And then they go in sync. Now you may get down. They do the choreography on the desk. They jump off. They start singing Tearing Up My Heart. And that was their performance. It was very popular. And I remember as a kid, my mom, because I had school the next day, I was starting second grade at the time. And my mom, the days of the blank tapes where you have to put it in to tape the
Oh
whole
my God.
my mom knew I want. So what happened was we taped the whole show, but I wanted to see because they were on early NSYNC and Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys. So the Backstreet Boys at this event performed. I won it that way, very briefly, like an a cappella version, and then they went into Larger in Life, which was an amazing performance. So they came on, and I went to bed. So my mom taped the whole N99 VMAs for me so I could watch it like probably the
Oh.
next week in a few days. So that's what I remember about that time period. So yeah, the old blank tapes, folks, the old blank tapes.
Oh my goodness. Do you still have a VHS at home?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you really?
Absolutely, yeah. It's somewhere around here, the VHS player. I just have that and I have DVDs. Like I have the old PS2, like for video games wise, like PS2, you could
Oh
play
my
DVDs and music.
goodness.
I have the Wii too, but I'm like, first of all, I look at it from a stance. If I'm only gonna play like a few video games on a friggin' game system, why would I want to buy it? And I'm kind of cheap, but also at the same time, what's the purpose, spending all that money just for one or two things?
Yeah, that's true. Oh my God. Man, a VHS. I, you know what's crazy? Like growing up, VHS was a, like common normal thing, right?
Yes.
And then they came out with this Blu-ray thing. I don't think I ever had a DVD player. I just went from VHS to, like online torrents type of stuff.
Cool, I'm bringing it
It's,
back with the torrents. Like it, nice.
oh my goodness, this is gonna show our age, this
Oh, who
podcast. My
cares? You know what I'm
goodness.
saying? Oh, here's the thing. A lot of these kids back in my day, a lot of these kids nowadays don't understand how it was back in the day. And like a lot of stuff like they could not survive now because everything is phones and social media and whatnot. Like they don't know about friggin' blank tapes and the VHSs and all this stuff that we had. You know what I'm saying? Like CD players before
Oh,
there was iPods and stuff. Like, come on now.
wait. Before I forget, do you remember this would have been like 2000, 2008 or something,
Okay.
but they were making these NSYNC, like specifically for NSYNC. Um, they're tiny, like tiny little CD players, not even the normal size. It's like a compact, tiny thing. And it comes with these tiny CDs, which hold one song, like one NSYNC song, and you're supposed to buy a whole bunch of them, of course. And you play it, you listen to it with your earbuds and all that. It was crazy, but at the time, it was such a big thing. I don't remember what they're called. There's a name to it. Um, but I just remembered all the tiny little CDs, and it was more for people that could afford it. I couldn't,
Right,
but I
Rylee Jade.
remember seeing them.
Rylee Jade, the smile on my face as you're saying that. Folks, what she's talking about is hit clips where you had 30.
Oh yes, yes. Oh my God. Oh my God, you make me so happy.
Yes.
My goodness.
What, and I actually got brought up it too because I told you my friend Amanda, who was a big NSYNC fan, she still has her hit clips. And every time we used to go to work because we were riding buddies, she would we would listen to hit clips and it was amazing. But no, so hit clips before we had everything that we have now. It was you put the little thing in there and it's like 30 seconds of a song. And,
Yes,
and the
yes.
commercials were absolutely amazing. It's like, get your hit clips now and then sync and this song and that song. And we'd be like, buy for 30 seconds. And it's like, well, you got to buy the whole album to listen to it. And I think that's another lost art because it doesn't matter how many songs are on it. If you like buy, you're going to want to listen to that whole doggone album. You know what I'm saying? But hit clips was the early indication before we had iPods and stuff. Yeah, hit clips is what Rylee Jade's referring to.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was crazy. That was before iPods were invented. I'm pretty sure
Oh yeah.
because for you to be able to carry songs like, everywhere, even for like a 30-second song, that was huge.
Well, for me too. I mean, like this also kind of equates to around the time like when NSYNC first came out. I remember, I think I got it for Christmas. My mom got it for me for Christmas. It was a NSYNC in the Mix VHS tape. So for those that remember, in the mix and the mix, because get it in the mix, we're cool. Woo! NSYNC in the mix. It was all like these live performances, full versions of like "I Want You Back," "Tearing Up My Heart," "God Must Have Spent a Little More Time on You," and all these songs. There was videos for the girl who has everything, which is a great song,
Mhm.
by the way. For those that don't know, for the girl who has everything, very underrated. Here we go, one more time. Everybody's feeling fine. Here we go now. That video, and you really got to know the life of NSYNC, kind of what equates to when NSYNC Disney in concert, which was a great concert from O Town, Orlando, Florida. Remember the Disney in concerts back in the day? Okay, man.
No.
All right, let me tell you this, and that's fine because Rylee J, let me tell you something here. There's still been petitions about this. NSYNC in concert was many different groups. They had NSYNC in concert, they had the Backstreet Boys in concert, they had Britney Spears in concert, they had friggin' Five in concert, Baby When the Lights Go Out Five. So many different groups at this time that it was very popular. They used to come on at 8 p.m. Eastern, and they would have like the concerts like every Friday. And a lot of people want that back because Disney doesn't replay all of those. Hell, put it on Disney Plus for God's sake, because they're actually very good. Yeah, we had those back in the day. So you don't remember the Disney and concerts? Do you remember a lot of stuff on the Disney Channel back then than what we had now, which would be like Hannah Montana and the High School Musical and all that crap that came after that?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, when I first came to Canada, I didn't speak a lot of English, so I didn't watch a lot of TV shows because I couldn't understand it.
Okay.
I completely skipped Hannah Montana. I think the only thing I used to watch was Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps?
This woman right here with the "Are You Afraid of the Dark" and Goosebumps. Hell yeah, old school Nickelodeon. Okay. Um, well, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, Hannah Montana came out in like '06. Like, this is where for me, I kind of like stopped watching Disney because, like I said, you had music videos, you had the in concerts on Disney, where again, where the time age that we're in now, the society, everybody, I'm gonna put it like this bluntly, everybody gets offended over everything, and then oh my God, woe was me. But back in the day, everything was just very free. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was just chill. The simpler times. There was still social media. There may have been some chat rooms. There may have had some websites. But this point of view is it's simpler. There was nothing that would cause us drama.
Definitely. Well, okay, speaking of hit clips,
Okay.
another they had a lot of NSYNC games that came out. Um, I know you're going to touch on a Game Boy game, but you might know the name of this one. This wasn't an NSYNC game, but it was more for little girls, kind of like a dating game, or like the phone that you it's a plastic phone, and when you pick a card, you get whoever guy is on the card and you dial a number or something,
Okay.
and they either say like, oh, I really like you, or not today, or something along those lines. But
Oh,
you made something similar for NSYNC that was an actual NSYNC game. Do you remember what it was?
so what she's referring to is the old school. Are you ready for your
Yeah,
mystery? Hey,
yeah. Oh my God. Oh my
I've
God.
I've touched upon this on my show, like the very briefly. And my best friend Steve Nicoforo brought this up to me. He goes, "Michael, do you remember like the mystery date back in the date?" And then he's like, "Cause I remember the commercial." I'm like, "Oh yeah, are you ready for your mystery date right now?"
Yeah. Oh my God.
So it was similar. I mean, NSYNC did like a if you want to date NSYNC kind of deal. It was like each
Yes.
person on like TRL, where it was like the girls could match up with NSYNC and who they're going to date or who they're going to hang out with, like interdate and stuff like that. Something in that regards, because I remember they did an NSYNC Snowed In where they did a lot of their performances there on TRL back in the day. Remember Snowed In? My God, that was very popular. And they did that episode at Spring Break from Cancun where they're just dancing, singing to Tearing Up My Heart and the girls walking the runway. Hello. But that was very popular at the time. Like they had dating games and stuff. So that really kind of get to know the guys, what have you, instead of what we got later on with Blind Date and all that stuff. This was the early introduction to it. But yeah, I remember all that stuff. Mystery Date right now. Yep.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. You're such a walking encyclopedia of like everything from even before you were born up till now. I don't know how you do it. Like if I were to tell you to tell me what happened on Raw, like this is wrestling by the way.
That's fine.
What happened on Raw on like June 3rd, 2001, you'd probably be like, "Oh, I know. So and so had a match." Like I don't know how you do it.
Well, this
That's
is around.
crazy to
I
me.
could I could just answer that right now. This is around the days when the alliance was going on. No, it's just. But no, I mean, I started watching wrestling. I'll go to wrestling here for a second. I started watching wrestling in '02, so my dad was into it, so I kind of studied backwards, if you will, like absorbing it like we do and like we touch upon a lot. But no, that was the thing. And especially I kind of equate it to pop culture because I can remember, all right, we'll tie this in back in NSYNC. She wants to go back to June '01 over here. This one 2001 was the Celebrity album, which had Dirty Pop and it had Girlfriend and it had Gone and all those music videos. And I remember July 24th, that's when Celebrity came out. You know what? I remember the pop music video, the
Oh,
yeah. Oh,
yes.
so yeah, that's how I also remember. I equated everything from music to what I know into wrestling because I was into both. So this album came out around this time when this happened in WWE. So kind of intertwines. And as you can attest to, my fellow wrestler here, you're very much you could kind of equate it to like wrestling and pop culture because music and wrestling are very similar in what they do.
Definitely, definitely. Um, remember when we were talking about stickers earlier on?
Yeah.
Remember how Spice Girls, they used to sell bubble gums and lollipops, and every time you open a piece of gum, it comes with a sticker of either each individual girl or like the whole group of them. They did that for NSYNC too, right? Like very early on, and then they just stopped producing it for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, they did a lot of those with like the bubble gums and they had like we mentioned stickers and just like the cards and stuff because it was very popular merchandising wise. And I mean, that was early before and I mean they had shirts of course, but it's just like it was something unique for the consumer. Like I remember back in the day when the Backstreet Boys for the fans, which was like live performances and then there was like a acapella version of All I Have to Give. And they had them at like Burger King. Like if you go to Burger King, you can get Backstreet Boys for the fans. You know, it comes with the comes with your meal. So that was one of the promotional tactics that they had around the time. So I guess any way you can get it. I mean, something that really a lot of people go to Burger King. So hey, have a Whopper and a side of the Backstreet Boys. So I mean, it is what it is.
Oh man.
But no,
I I know back at my parents' house, I should still have all my NSYNC CDs somewhere if it hasn't been thrown out. But you know how in the second album, Bye 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 or It's Gonna Be Me was the biggest hit, right?
yeah, they were the two big hits.
Right. That album wasn't, I mean, I like the two songs. It's actually on my Spotify playlist still, but it's a secret between you and I. Um, my favorite album was the Celebrity album.
Yep, that's the one that had Pop, Gone, Girlfriend. Like
Yeah.
that one was really good. That was their last one. I mean, for no strings attached, you had Bye Bye Bye, you had It's Gonna Be May, and you had This I Promise You were the big hits. I told you this one because a lot of people like it. Bring in the Noise was featured in the Disney movie The Other Me, where Andy Lawrence clones himself and he's dancing in the cafeteria to that song playing in the background. But they also had Digital Get Down was a very popular one.
Oh,
Digital Get Down.
yes. Just you and me.
Yep.
Yes.
Which, if you look at it right now, thinking about it, when I'm 8 years old at the time singing this, and then you kind of put together what the song's really kind of about, it's kind of
Yeah.
to think about it. But hey, we were young. It's like when again, O Town, Liquid Dreams, hello. But I digress.
Oh.
That when you're young and then you start realizing what the songs are about when you get older. Like, I'll give you an example. Canadian band here, B44. Do you remember B44?
Yeah, get down.
On me, I'll get down. On you, I'm gonna make you come tonight. Pause over to my house. Like,
Yeah.
we should have known, but hey, there it is. But no, that's the point I'm trying to make here. It's like that album was very popular because they had just gotten off Jive Records. Like they sued Lou Pearlman for the whole thing that happened at the time because they took 50% of their earnings. I remember seeing it on TV, like they were suing Lou Pearlman, and that's how No Strings Attached came about because they got off of Jive Records and whatnot. And the Bye 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 where the first of all, they used the same girl for the Bye 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 video and the It's Gonna Be Me video where they're dancing as like the dolls and whatnot. They used the
Yeah.
same girl in that both of those videos. Like the same girl that's chasing them in Bye 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 is the same girl that purchases them at the end and It's Gonna Be Me. It's the same girl.
I think it was because the song is supposed to lead from one song to another.
Yeah, I think
Bye
that's
Bye
right.
Bye was supposed to come first because when they cut off all the puppet strings,
Yeah.
It's Gonna Be Me was when they're running away from her, right?
Well, the Bye 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 is the video where, okay, so here we're taking it back here, and I like this. So they cut off the strings in the video, they all come down, and they're running on the train while the girls go after them.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, and then Justin Timberlake going under the thing, and he does the, and then he just keeps running, it keeps going,
Uh-huh.
and then all right, your boy Lance Bass and JC are in the car, blows the CD, puts it in, and then they're driving around the car like this. It looks like something out of Fast and Furious, and then It's Gonna Be Me happen, and then this I Promise You was more the romantic. They're singing in like the woods, and there's trees, and there's ambiance and whatnot, so it's very nice. That's another one of my favorite VMAs. Do you remember the 2000 VMAs where like their heads are in the thing and then they're like going back and doing this and then it's bye 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 and then it's this I promise you and then it's gonna be May and then they're dancing and there's a lot of gyrating folks. So it's like a big ass rave at the MTV VMAs.
Oh my goodness, you walking encyclopedia.
It's
I
it's
don't
amazing. It's great. Like well, all right, here's the thing, because as a fellow New Yorker, Madison Square Garden, they had the No Strings Attached tour. I remember watching that on HBO, which was very popular. They did Space Cowboy, which is a great performance. Space
know.
Cowboy was the one that they did with Lisa Left Eye Lopez, God rest her soul. Like that was another one that stuck out. That's just for me, man. Like that's the time period, and it's funny because we were talking about Lance Bass. Like originally, Lance Bass wasn't even in the group, and I had to remember looking this up because Jason Galasso was the original guy who was in it. Then he dropped out because he didn't like the quote unquote musical direction of the group because
Mhm.
I was like, I never dreamed of wanting to be a teen idol. I think the guy does real estate now, which good for him. But that's how NSYNC came together because it was the initials of their names. But Bass doesn't really get in there because Lance was last minute.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my goodness. This is like this is all coming back to me and it's so crazy. Why, wait, tell me about the Game Boy game because I never heard of it. And I had a Game Boy when I was young,
I
but I
never,
never played that game.
so I had friends that played Game Boys, but I myself didn't. I was a PS1 kid at the time playing my NBA Shootout. We're going to play some more and all these other games for the PS1. So apparently, and I got to thank Amanda for this, my friend Amanda, NSYNC Get to the Show was it's a Game Boy game where you have to do various errands for the Backstreet Boys. Oh, go to the store, go pick up some donuts while we're on our way to the show. Go get this, go get that. So you're like driving, go here, driving, go here, and then you complete the next mission. And they're like, great job, you got what I needed. And then there's like a dance break, and then they keep going, another dance break, and they get all these clothes. And then the final thing is just them performing at the show, and they're like, you rock. And I'm like, oh,
That's it.
that's it. Like it's the most. It's basically if you spent and there's a gameplay of it on YouTube. I sent you. It's like 20 minutes out of your life. Just
Oh,
here's we're getting to the show. That's the insane. Get to the show. It was like 01. So this was again towards the end of what would be their career. Which the thing is, AJ McLean said this on Lance Bass's podcast, Frosted Tips. He said, why don't we just do like a Backstreet Boys in sync, like super show and like first of all they would sell out immediately and Lance Bass was like I'm down to do it but you have to convince because JC Chazé is the one who doesn't want to do it because I
yeah.
don't think he wants to tour but everybody else is down. It's that goddamn JC Chazé blowing me up with your love JC Chazé. Some girls dance with women. JC Chazé, he doesn't want to do it, which I think personally if they did a Backstreet Boys in sync super show I'm down for it.
Yeah, I would definitely pay to watch them.
Like but that's the thing, it's crazy to think about. I mean, well, for me, like the 2013 VMAs, when they did it very briefly, when Justin Timberlake was doing the Michael Jackson, I think it was the Video Vanguard Award. So he did his performance in 2013. He's like, you all were asking it, and it's a brief brief. I remember watching it over my friend Steve's house, and we were just watching it. And we're looking at One Direction like grooving, and we're just looking at them like these guys will never be like an NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. It ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? And then you see Taylor Swift doing
Ugh.
her thing, and I know, I'm okay. I'm right there with you. Taylor Swift with that thing. Don't get me started. But yeah, Taylor Swift was grooving. But it was very brief. It was like they did "Gone" as an acapella, then they did girlfriend. Won't you be
Yeah,
my girlfriend? And then they did bye bye bye, and that was it. It lasted for like a couple of minutes, and that was it for the NSYNC reunion.
so sad.
It is, but I when Justin went solo, like he started with the Justified album, with like I Love You, Rock Your Body, Please Stay, Dance with Me, and Senorita, I Feel for You. Like, what did you think about that? Like, because you're an NSYNC fan, and then here you see Justin doing his solo thing.
Like I said, I was never a big fan of JT. So when he went off and did his own stuff, I listened to it, of course, and like, oh, in sync and stuff. But I was, I couldn't get into JT at all.
No, that
And to be honest, I didn't find him to be that attractive either. This is just my own opinion, but he just didn't do it for me at all.
you're just
Um,
upsetting all the JT fans right now. Just, how dare you, Riley J, with his noodles in his hair and then his curly hair, and
I,
whatnot. Yes.
I know someone's gonna send me a virus in my email
How dare
soon.
you? How dare you talk about Justin Timberlake like that? But no, there's very passionate fans like that because I sent it to you, and a lot of people don't realize this. So there's a TRL episode with NSYNC fan. Her name at the time was Tiffany. No, Backstreet Boys fan, excuse me, was Tiffany, and then she took on this girl. There was Backstreet Boys trivia against NSYNC trivia. The Backstreet Boys fans on one side, NSYNC over here, and the girl lost. And she had like this death stare at Carson Daly. She's like, "I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna kill you too." And then he's like, "Whoa, I don't think that would be good for the Backstreet Boys." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and he's like, "It's just a game. Like, you're gonna be back here tomorrow." And then he's like going through, "We got the world premiere of Britney Spears, blah blah." And then he looks over his shoulder. He's like, "I'm gonna get out of this shot because I think she's gonna kill me." And then he goes, "Somebody's pissed off." Like the girl took it that seriously. He's like, "If you roll the tape, I said you could pass on the question." You know what I'm saying? So like, that's what I remember because the NSYNC girl won. And that girl was so upset that she got the Backstreet Boys question wrong. The
It,
fans are crazy. I'm saying, especially in wrestling, but in music too. Like there's a lot of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC fans that are nuts.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like I told you, I really, really like NSYNC, but I was never like I'm gonna kill somebody to buy a ticket to see them type of stuff, or do anything crazy or even spend a lot of money. Because, like I said, growing up, I didn't have a lot of money. As much as I like them, it just wasn't feasible for me to spend that type of money to see them.
Well,
Like there's TV. I was content with seeing them on television. That was it.
I feel you. I mean, Much Music was very big, and I'm sure they run Much
Yeah.
Music a lot. Okay, see this one smiling over Much Music. I see you with your Ed the Sock and all that good stuff from back in the day.
Oh my goodness, at the sock, yes. How do you remember all these things? Like it comes back to me after you bring it up. But my goodness, at the sock was like, I don't know, year 2000 or something old like
Yep.
that.
52, 53, 54, 55, 56. So what that refers to people is in the States, 52 was VH1, 53 was MTV, 54 was BET, 55 was MTV2, and 56, which was Much Music, then it became Fuse on that channel now. So Fuse. But yeah, I remember Much Music, watching the top 10 countdown, watching, speaking of Game Boy, one Trevor Guthrie and Soul Decision. Ooh, it's kind of crazy playing the Game Boy and running away from the fans, disguising himself. Ooh, it's kind of crazy. I've been thinking maybe got to get you out of my mind. Hello. But
Oh,
Ed Snow, everybody wants to be like you. Almost say no more gold on this. I mean, no one McCannell, whatever he was saying, and that stuff. Like I remember a lot of that. Much Music, the top 10 countdown. Ed the Sock, Ricky J, No Means No, the whole nine. Oh
mhm.
my goodness,
Oh my-
Ricky J, baby, No Means No. For those who've never seen that, he's a white Canadian guy, and he's wearing like the backwards hat, and he's trying to be all hard. And I'll start at the mall. Want to meet you at the mall, and no means no, but I really want to hit it. No means no, and they're literally like skating around. It's like I don't know if they're at whatever they're at. It's like a skating rink or what have you. And then there's what have you. But yeah, Ricky J, one hit wonder. Ricky J.
Michael, can you imagine like the songs that we used to hear back in the day come out now?
Oh my
People would have
god.
such an uproar.
Oh my
Even
god.
Spice Girls, like To Become One, like I didn't know what they were talking about when I was young,
Oh yeah.
but
No.
imagine if they were to start singing that now, people would be like, "Oh my God,
Oh my
this is
God. How
not
could you?
appropriate."
How
Well,
could you? It's like Cisco with the thong song. You imagine putting the
oh,
thong song out now? Frig. Like, damn, like let me see that thong, the thong, thong, thong. So
they
well,
still play that on radio every now and then, but
yep.
it's not common.
No, but well, that's the thing too. Like Ricky J, no means no. Talk about I really want to hit it, girl. No means no. I can do it for a minute, girl. I can't believe you never did it, girl. Oh my God, like that would be an uproar. Like Soul Decision would fade it. You know, when I get you all alone, I'm gonna take off all your clothes. Everybody be
Yeah.
like, what? What did he just say?
Oh, it's so funny. I love these older pop music though, because it was just a cross between us not knowing what it meant before, like at the time, and to it being not appropriate now. And people will be like, ah, you need to ban that. Whoa,
What is
whoa,
wrong with
whoa.
you? Cancel it. Just get the fuck out of here. It's like a dog on the on your leg trying to hump it. Just get the fuck out. Just get the fuck out of here. That's what it's pretty much the equivalent of. And I mean, for another example, not Soul Decision, but O Town. Besides Liquid Dreams, they had a
Oh,
song called "We Fit Together," which is an amazing song. It's really
I
good.
don't know if I know that song.
So they're on the beach. It's very intimate setting, and it's I want to go all night. Ain't no stop until the breaking of the door. I want to go inside every corner, girl. You really turn me on. Like if you play that now.
Oh,
Oh
we'll get canceled.
what are
Like
you saying?
this
What do you
podcast
mean?
would get canceled just because you mentioned
Oh my
it.
God, what do you mean? You want to go in inside every corner? What are you talking about? Like that's oh God. We've there's been a lot of those, like Riding Dirty. Probably we get canceled because oh my God, they're talking about getting away from the police. What? Freaking chameleonaire over here? No, there's a lot of stuff that we had back in the day, especially I want to sex you up, like from Color Me.
Oh yeah.
I want to sex you up to the heart, tick tock, you don't stop. Oh my God, like
Oh
they have a lot of that, and I'm trying to think like if there's any other NSYNC song. Well, Digital Get Down, if they played that now,
yeah. Did
like
okay.
Digital Get Down would be there. 98 Degrees really had never a song that would cancel them. Well, Heat It Up, if you could, baby, let me love you to the 98 degree girl, come heat it up. I'm down, yeah, heat it up.
What's the new Kids from the Block song that
Which one?
forgot I forgot what it's called. I just remember they have a song where it would not be appropriate nowadays, but back then it was
You got
okay.
the right stuff, baby, girl. You really turn me on. The right stuff. Oh, 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 oh. Hang
No, no, I think that was okay, but I don't remember.
There was
What was
Hanging Tough where they're doing the new kids dance. There was Please Don't Girl Girl, You Ruin My Whole World. Summertime. I think about you in the summertime. Oh, no.
no? Oh my God. My God,
There's a
you
lot of New Kids on the
know.
Block songs, so it's like it would be really hard to try to pick one. But I mean, Ricky Martin talking about Shake Your Bon
Oh
Bon.
yeah, she banged.
And she bang. Oh, baby, when she moved, William Hung. Hello. But no, there would be a lot of songs, like, if you really think about it, that would not be appropriate today. And I mean, Enrique Iglesias talking about, the rhythm divine of Viva la music, say you'll be mine. They're bailamos, let the rhythm take you over. Like some people would interpret those lyrics as like inappropriate, but I'm like, really? Like it's wholesome compared to what we have nowadays, where most of the music
Also,
well, the reason why I put it like that, Rylee, is because if you think about it, like music videos actually meant something back in the day. Like if you watch an NSYNC, like the iconic videos, like "Bye Bye Bye," it's gonna be me tearing up my heart. God must have spent a little more time on you, which is probably one of the most beautiful music videos that they've ever done. Where it's
mhm.
like they're at war, and then he comes home from the war, and it just it brings you in because it's very old timey. But then there's also like I drive myself crazy when they're in the insane asylum because all the girls break up with them and they're all like in the padded walls and Lance is doing this and he's picking the friggin' daisy and shit. Like that is stuff like that. A lot of people can remember that. But this generation would say, oh, it's cheesy. Like, what is this? I don't get it. It's lame. Like, like
No,
all the music videos now is just shaking your ass and just stuff that really doesn't mean anything. It's on to the next, is what it is. Because it's popular one week and then on to the next.
I just, nowadays the music it's good too. I like the
It
pop
is.
music,
Trust me.
but the year 2000 pop music or 90s pop was was the best. It's always been my favorite anyways.
No, same. I mean, there is some good music now, but it's not the same just because, again, with everything from social media, everything's kind of expendable. and not timeless, as we saw with these music videos that we're talking about and songs. Like Five, Baby When the Lights Go Out. Like literally, they're in the bowling alley. And the US version, they're in the bowling alley playing bowling with the girls, Baby When the Lights Go Out. Like, I mean, Westlife had that song, I Swear It All Over Again, and they're at the car
Oh
wash
my God.
all over again. Like this was like stuff. We had BB Mac singing back here at the friggin' subway. You know what I'm saying? So there's many different variations of what we had back then. That was very interesting and unique.
My goodness.
Bringing up BB Mac, there's something for people to go back and listen to. They had one hit back here, and that was it. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, I haven't even heard of the name BB Mac in, I don't know,
Well,
like,
they
oh
were
my,
on an episode of Even Stevens very briefly with Shia LaBeouf and
oh,
Christy Carlson Romano, and I think it was like I forgot the purpose of the episode, but it's like BB Mac were playing, and they were calling like their band crappy because there was the Twitty Stevens project, and then they had their song Sacramento Girl, and then AJ Trott at the end goes, "You take that, BB Mac." So there was like a little rivalry with BB Mac and the guys in the band. It was pretty funny, but no, that's the time period. I mean, you had Savage Garden with "I Knew I Loved You."
oh, yes,
We
I like them.
That's a great, yeah, very friggin' animals, truly madly deeply. Like there was like that era right there was amazing. You had Blink 182 with all the small things and What's My Age Again.
Yes.
Yes, like there was a lot of stuff. And also this is just early TRL. And the reason I say this is because what's very popular about it. When I was a kid, Long Island, coming home from elementary school, used to get out at 3 o'clock was the first thing you do. Any 90 kids can attest this. I'm sure you can attest to this. You go home, you watch some TRL, put on a little Carson Daly action, top 10 countdown, boom.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, that's what we did. Like we knew TRL was coming on 3 o'clock, and then the friggin' you see the person floating out the window in that bricka bricka bromp romp, and then just friggin' the person sitting out looking out the window, and then the girls out the window, whatnot. There was a lot of memorable TRL episodes with NSYNC performing "Tearing Up My Heart." There was there was the one where oh my god, there were so many interesting episodes of TRL where they had friggin' what's his face from Oasis. Oh my God, Liam.
Oh,
I think it was Liam
oh,
Gallagher and Noel Gallagher, and he was like, "So you get," and you couldn't understand him because I think he might have been drinking before he did the show. So that stands out when Eminem hosted MTV, and it was EM and he was taking over playing like all the Eminem videos and stuff like that. So there's stuff like that that really sticks out, and of course, you know they the reason why I bring this up too is because MTV at the time played in the Christina Aguilera's, the Britneys, the NSYNC, the
mm.
Backstreet Boys. Everything was so into this, and everybody was like, "Oh God, I hate that. This is the only thing they play." And I'm like, not necessarily. I mean, like, here's Corn over here with "Falling Away from Me" and "Freak on a Leash." So I mean, like, they played everything, but everybody was so condensed, thinking all they play is the fucking pop songs.
That is insane. You know more than, like, you even remember Blink 182, Sum 41. Do you remember Puddle of Mud?
Oh God, Wes Scantlin, can you take it all away? Can you take You shoved it in my face. Yes, blurry control. I like the way you look at me. I like the way you smack my ass. I like the dirty thing you do. I'm in control of you. Yeah.
Or
And
Gob, do you remember that one song that they had, I Hear You Calling?
which one was this? Who is this?
Gob, like G-O-B. The one that goes like, I hear you calling.
I think something like that sounds familiar because I think that was around the time as well, besides Puddle of Mud, which she fucking hates me, la 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 la, and all that stuff. Like they had Puddle of Mud, they had Orgy was a thing very briefly, ORGY Orgy. They had Incubus with Drive
Oh,
and
yes. Yes.
they had POD with the South Town and Pardon and all those songs and friggin' Alive. I feel so alive.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
We're
that's
not
right.
even talking about NSYNC anymore. Let's just have it as like a
Forget it is. It's just
pop.
everything pop culture. No, it's good, but no, but
Oh,
that's the thing too. Like a lot of people don't realize like there's so like so much interesting stuff there, and what made it special was the subtlety, intricacy, and nuances. Like they were by the record store, so here's like the cover of NSYNC, No Strings Attached. Here's Christina. Here's fucking Backstreet Boys. Here's Corn. Here's this. So you had everything around there, and it's like fucking Brian McKnight had Back at One at the time, which is probably one of the most beautiful underrated songs ever. If you've seen the video, it's oh my god, if you watch it as you get older it hits differently just because I was 7 at the time when that came out. You're like, oh, this is a catchy song, it's nice, it's R&B. Then you fucking watch it as an adult, you're like, oh my god, like this is fucking deep. But that's the stuff that people don't realize. As our minds progress and as we grow, we start to appreciate what we had back in the day, and we realize what the hell we were listening to, whether it be
yeah.
good or bad.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so crazy.
I mean, friggin'
Oh,
Soul Decision over here, like I said, like much music, and I'll talk about Soul Decision here. Like I remember fucking like Faded. Ooh, it's kind of crazy. And then they had that song Gravity, which again, bowling alley. And then they had a song called Let's Do It Right, which was nice, like about getting married, which was a nice little ballad. But that whole CD was very, very good. I remember listening to it when my mom and I were going to Southern Pines, North Carolina to visit family. Like we played that whole entire CD the entire way down. It was
mhm.
badass. But no, that's the beauty of buying CDs, folks, and really just enjoying that time period. It might some people find it cheesy, some people find it catchy, but people like Rylee, Jade, and I just appreciate the art form and the craft because ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like it.
No, definitely. My
I,
goodness.
it is, but that was the great part of it with you and your NSYNC over there and your Lance Bass and whatnot over here talking about On the Line and all these music stuff. But that's pretty much where we are at with music now. And I think the fact that we have people like the Backstreet Boys still touring and we have 98 Degrees still touring and we have all these
Are
artists.
they
Yeah, they're still touring. 98 Degrees is still touring.
both like both groups?
Yeah,
98.
Backstreet, same with Backstreet Boys. Yeah, they have their Vegas residency. They tour a lot.
Oh wow, like original members and all.
Yeah, 98 Degrees is still together. Backstreet Boys is still together. Yep.
Oh wow, I had no idea that 98 Degrees is still kicking around.
It's still fucking like, first of all, they had a song like a couple years ago for the summer. It was called Where Do You Wanna Go? Where Do You Wanna Be? I'm like, these guys are like in their mid 40s, almost 50s, and they're still fucking killing it. And they look great. Nick Lachey's doing his thing. Jeff Timmons, Drew Lachey, and the other Justin, as I used to call him because in the three boy bands, obviously Justin Timberlake, but I call him the forgotten Justin of
I
98
forgot.
Degrees. The Justin Jeffries, who was the guy, the blonde haired guy in 98 Degrees.
Yep. Oh my goodness.
That was what he was. He was the forgotten Justin because he rarely sang on the songs. He was like Lance Bass. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in sync, like I remember, you remember Touched by an Angel, the show Touched by an Angel back in the day?
Oh, I don't remember anything about that show, but I know what show you're talking about.
So it was like a, it had to do with angels. Somebody died and he was looking after him. I just remember the show. It was a premise around angels, hence the title name. But In Sync was made like a cameo as a musical group on that show. Um, Justin Timberlake did Model Behavior with Maggie Lawson for the Disney Channel, which was very popular at the time. Kathy Lee Gifford was in it. There's an old reference to Kathy Lee Gifford from 2000. My goodness, when she was with Regis. God rest his soul. But no, there's a lot of stuff like that from that time period. Like that's early Justin Timberlake's work. There's 98 Degrees was on Cousin Skeeter on Nickelodeon, which was very just funny to see. But yeah, it was not a time period where everybody just really just guest hosted. It was simple. It was a simple time. That's really all you can say about it.
Wow. I wait, I don't know if I remember this right.
Hit me.
This was the time when Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears were still
Yeah, they were
together.
still dating. Yeah,
They
they were.
were they went to a what do you call those? Like not the Teen Choice Awards, but Nicholson Award?
Oh, the Nickel. Well, there was the Video Music Awards, and then there was Nickelodeon had the Kids Choice Awards.
Maybe the Kids Choice Awards where they got dumped with slime.
Yeah, that was the Kids Choice Awards. Yep.
That was I really enjoyed seeing that. I thought that was funny.
Well, that was the thing too. Like, I mean, Justin and Brittany were a thing. Then they broke up, and then friggin' wrestling related here. Britney Spears went with Kevin Federline, her backup dancer, and fucking K-Fed has a pinfall victory over John Cena on Raw in 2007. So, I mean, Britney Spears and Kevin Federline was the thing for a little bit, and then they broke up, and now Britney's back to being normal somewhat. So that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's yeah.
Wait, so back then, did you like Britney Spears more or Christina Aguilera more?
I wrote Britney Spears a fan letter when I was like 7 years old. I don't know if she ever wrote it, if she ever read it, excuse me. But yeah, I was a Britney guy. Bringing baby one more time. Sometimes I run, sometimes I hide. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No way.
That's my jam. And then Christina Aguilera, of course, Genie in a Bottle, come on over, baby. Like I like them all. Even Mandy Moore with her innocent self, talk about
Oh,
candy.
yeah.
And she was
I,
like 15 when that song came out, which is crazy to think. Mandy Moore, 15 when that came out.
what
Like
was, do you remember what the movie she did was Shane West?
A Walk to Remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my, oh my God.
That
You,
was the
you,
ultimate chick flick. That was the ultimate chick flick.
you impressed me so much with how much you remember, like off the top of your head. That's crazy. Yeah, Walk to Remember It. So
The
I
ultimate chick
I
flick.
remember watching that movie like at least 8 or 10 times. I really, really liked it when I was young. And then I think Shane West kind of fell off the face of the earth
Well,
afterwards.
I remember it because like she did a Walk to Remember, and again, never watched the movie. I'm aware of it. It's a chick flick, and I got no problems with chick flicks, but that was not my jam. I know she did. I know she did the Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway, the original one in 2002. But yeah, that's why I remember because they were so close together. Because I think A Walk to Remember was 01, and then the Princess Diaries was right after that. So it's
Well, with the Walk to Remember, Mandy Moore sang a song called Cry. Do you remember that?
that sounds familiar. I think that was around the same album where she had In My Pocket and she had I got a crush on you and I want to be with you.
I think so too. Cry was my favorite song for a while because it was so, like it was so touching. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cute.
Joey
Oh,
McIntyre had a song called Cry around that time too, and I think he had that song
oh,
Stay the Same when New Kids on the New Kids on the Block broke up and Joey McIntyre tried to went solo for a little bit, and then Jordan Knight went solo with Baby You Know I Can Give It to You. I can't deny I do it right. That was a very popular one in like 99. But yeah, no, I remember Mandy Moore and Cry and Walk to Remember and Together, which was also at the time. I know my calculus, it says you plus me equals us, the mock boy band. It was funny, but yeah. Oh, this is what we had back in the day, folks. And you look at us like whatever, but it was good. It was cheesy, but it was good.
I Britney Spears was never in any movies, right?
No,
Christina
she was in
Aguilera.
Crossroads. She was in Crossroads,
Oh my God. Oh
which was
my God.
terrible.
I forgot about Crossroads. Oh my
It was
goodness.
terrible. It was a horrible movie, like a horrible movie. Like it was really
Oh,
bad.
did you ever watch Christina Aguilera's
Is it
Burlesque?
Burlesque, yeah, with Cher. I've seen bits and pieces of it over the years. I thought it was very good. Both of them had great acting in it. Yeah.
I like the Burlesque one. Like she wasn't the best actor per se, but the movie itself was watchable. It was entertaining.
Right. Well, that's the thing around that time period. You also have to understand, like Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, JC Chazet, and all of them, and Ryan Gosling, they were all in the Mickey Mouse Club. So I mean, they got the experience,
Yeah.
which was great. Like, well, that was the thing when I was a kid. Like late night Disney, 1 o'clock in the morning, they would have Zorro, like old school Zorro TV show, folks. Not Mask of Zorro, not Antonio Banderas doing The Legend of Zorro and all that. Like old school Zorro from like way back in the day. And then right after that, at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you had a block of the Mickey Mouse Club. So that's how you watch the Mickey Mouse Club at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on freaking Disney Channel around that time. But yeah, so that's where you get to see Justin, JC Chazet, and Ryan Gosling and Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and all these people. Yep.
Oh my goodness, Michael.
Oh,
Okay, is there anything else you can tell me about NSYNC that I mean, you know more than I do.
well, I'm
Uh,
glad that we got a chance to do this because it like opens up the pop culture gates and we're really going into it. But I think the last thing I'll say about NSYNC that I can recall, besides the video games and the albums, and the NSYNC and concerts and all that, like the Snowed In was really good. Like we mentioned all that stuff. But I think the only thing I will say about NSYNC is I really didn't have a bad song like that I hated of them. I would just say for everybody who's not listening in sync, because most people know Justin Timberlake from his solo work and people don't really know of the other members, go back and listen to it because it's really good. And also the fact of the matter is this, the only thing I can say about NSYNC that I really did not know as well is that when Lance Bass got into the group, like it was Justin Timberlake who got it because he called his vocal coach and the vocal coach suggested Lance Bass.
mhm.
The same with Jason Galasso. Like I didn't know that he was in it until like years later, but that's really about it. Like I think a lot of what we can see about NSYNC is yeah. Oh, the only thing I can mention is Lance Bass on this podcast that originally Baby When the Lights Go Out by Five was originally written for NSYNC and they turned it down.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I think that's the only other thing I can say that I found out because we covered a lot here, but I think that's the one thing that stuck out to me. I'm like, could you imagine? And first of all, Five's "Baby Light the Lights When the Lights Go Out" is a great song. For those who've never heard of it, it's nice, upbeat. There's a rap in it. It's good. For Euro pop, it's good. That was like their
Mhm.
only hit here in the States besides "Slam Dunk the Funk" and "Put It Up" when you got that feeling. But Vibe where "Baby When the Lights Go Out" was originally supposed to be for NSYNC. And can you imagine NSYNC singing "Baby When the Lights Go Out"?
No, I don't. I don't
No,
think I can.
I can't either because I'm kind of like, well, I'm kind of glad that they passed that song. And Lance is like, well, it was a good song, but it's just like we passed on it. I mean, he's like, I'm kind of glad we passed on it.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, that's the Euro pop and pop that we are into, folks. And I'm gonna say, if you enjoyed this show, click a like, subscribe, and check out Rylee Jade. I mean, you just came off a professional wrestling match doing your thing on the wrestling side of things, which saw some highlights. You killed it as always.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I haven't wrestled in, I think, over a year now. So getting back into it, my goodness, my body hurt so bad the day afterwards. It felt like I ran a marathon and I fell maybe 20 times or something. Like my body was crunchy the next day.
Well, that's the bump card, man. That's paying the dues, getting in the ring, as you only do. So I get it. I get it. It's not easy, folks, for those who have seen Rylee wrestle and everybody in professional wrestling. It's not easy, but the sacrifice is worth it. And you get to see a lot of great storytelling, and a lot of great matchups, and a lot of great talent. Hello. From Miss Rylee Jade and many others. So definitely check her out, and check out Rylee as an LFC prospect for Lingerie Fighting Championships, and check out our previous podcast. Our second one's coming up for season 6 very soon on lfcfights.com, and check your out in her calendar. We got to talk about this. You are in the LFC calendar with your little kitty cat. Talk about the cat very briefly, because the kitty cat is very cute.
So Cebu is my cat's name. He just turned 16 on June 1st.
Oh,
So it was 4 days, 3 days ago, I think. Yeah, today's the fourth, right? Um, yeah, he just turned 16 recently. Best cat I've ever had. He is the sweetest. I got him when he was 12 and a half years old. His owners didn't want him anymore because he was too old. Um, he came with kidney disease. Um, but you know what? He originally, I was only supposed to foster him. I was working with a cat rescue, and at the time, I really only wanted to foster until they find themselves a good home. It had always been a temporary thing for me. Um, the original plan was I was supposed to foster a 10-year-old cat named Carmen. She was a like long-haired black cat. The owner passed away because she was really, really old. And Carmen was having separation anxiety and she wasn't doing so well. So they're like, oh, can you take her? I said, yeah, of course. Give me a time. I will pick her up from you guys. I never heard back. So I was kind of like, well, does she still need to be fostered? And they're like, oh, you know what? I think someone is going to adopt her. So I was like, oh, okay, that's great. Didn't hear back from the rescue for 2 months or so. And out of the blue, they emailed me and they said, hey, we have a pair of cats. They're really old. Do you want to foster them? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? My only my only thing was I couldn't foster any animals that need to be on medications because I wasn't able to be home at a specific time. So they're like, no, no, these cats are fine. They're just old, so to speak, and they have kidney disease. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So it was actually Cebu and his sister that I fostered. But Cebu's sister passed away shortly after, even when I was still fostering them at the time. She had multiple tumors in her liver and she passed away pretty suddenly, actually. But after that, Cebu got very attached to me and I got very attached to him. So I was like, well, I guess you're not going anywhere. And the when the rescue was kind of like, oh, okay, you need to put up a profile for Cebu so people can adopt him. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, 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 I'll do it. And then I would put it off for 2 weeks or, a little bit longer. I was like, oh, sorry, I was just really busy. I'll post it soon. Like, I knew I wasn't going to. I hope they don't hear this, but
well, hey,
any, anyways, I ended up applying to adopt Cebu, and they pretty much said yes right away because it's really, really hard to find forever homes for a really old cat. People generally prefer, like kitten or young adult cats. Um, so I was really, really happy, and he seems really happy. He's 16 now. He got tuna the past few days. Um, I think he's living a pretty good life, and he is my priority too. I would never like I would never go away for a long period of time just because I know he has separation anxiety and I would never want to leave him for a long time. But yeah, overall he's pretty good. We're stabilizing his kidney issues. Like there's not much you can do with kidney disease, to be honest. You just have to keep him hydrated and keep him comfortable for as long as humanly possible.
I think with everything, and you guys, if you want to check out the LFC podcast episode where we go into more detail about this, just because, like I said, doing your thing on the calendar, which I love. I think the point here is what we're trying to say is take care of the cats, no matter, take care of animals, no matter how old, what have you. Animals a
Yeah.
special part. They're a part of the family. I think you do an amazing job with Cebu and just Cebu, the amazing cat that that he is. And I mean, I can't wait to see what you do in LFC. I can't wait just to see more of the animals live like animals, to quote Savage Garden. You're doing your thing as a cat mom, as a cat lover myself. I completely understand where you're coming from. And I think a lot of people that love them some cats, if you will get it. And to all the cat lovers and to all animal lovers, love you. We respect you. And before we do close this out, because Rylee Jade, it's always such a blast talking to you on so many different levels here, from pop culture to wrestling to LFC. Hello, we're definitely got to do another one of these and talk some pop culture, especially LFC, the whole nine. You're always welcome on with me. Where can we follow you on Instagram? Because I know you're only on the gram. Where can we follow?
Yeah, you know what? I'm just not a big social media person, but if you want to look at my photos, it is Rylee_Jade_wrestling. And Michael will probably put the link somewhere
Yep.
below.
Oh yeah, absolutely will. Check her out on Rylee_Jade_wrestling. There's a lot of great photos and imagery of her wrestling and just the woman that is Rylee Jade over here. And the link will be in the description. Check her out. I'll put the LFC Fights prospect page where you can check out Rylee Jade. Hoping to see you in LFC very soon. I know you'll kill it in your debut. Check out her wrestling stuff. Check out her in the calendar with Cebu and the amazing story she told here and she tells on the LFC podcast. Check out lfcfights.com. Check out StephenMikeShow.com. Subscribe to my YouTube, Mike Larkin92. We are over 500 subscribers now. Let's keep it up and up, on and on to the break of dawn. Here we go one more time. Everybody's feeling fine. You're tearing up by my heart. I want you back, or have a digital get down, dirty pop. I want you to be my girlfriend. Then you going to be gone, and we going to be gone.
Yep.
This is the end of the show. And as always, my name is Mike Larkin for Rylee Jade Pop Culture History Podcast. Let's digitally get on down and get on out of here. Peace. Thank you, Rylee.
Bye.